Hey everybody, welcome back to another mini reading from Stan Lee's The Devil's Quintet, The Armageddon Code. I just want to add a little bit of a preface here. I'm jumping forward a little bit. Our heroes, if you've been listening, if maybe you've stumbled upon this and wondered, what the hell am I looking at? I've been reading mini readings from a story about a group of special ops, Navy SEALs, work deep undercover for the U.S. government, and they get ambushed in a fictional Middle Eastern country in the story by the thugs of a warlord. And now something very unexpected happens, and I'll wait to just let you discover it through the readings. So here's another mini reading, jumping ahead from right after they were just about to be tortured in a dungeon of a warlord. Here we go. Thank you, Frida. I thought you liked it. Okay. Chapter 4. The Illusionist. 1. Looking back on it later, trying to recount the sequence of events, Spur will remember a distinct odor permeating that dungeon right at that moment. At first, unidentifiable, it conjures old memories in Spur's midbrain from his childhood, long summer nights back in Texas, the 4th of July, bottle rockets, firecrackers, and snakes. Those unmistakable smells wafting across the room as strong as a punch in the gut. Only later would he realize that he was smelling sulfur, brimstone, ancient odors from the center of the earth. Across the room, at that moment, the 3 thugs spontaneously combust. The fire igniting first beneath their feet, blinding yellow flames shooting up, magnesium bright, climbing their legs like luminous centipedes, feeding on them, engulfing them, eliciting high-pitched shrieks of shock and pain from each of them. The fire hungrily gobbles each figure as though the thugs are made of wax and accelerant, causing each to stagger and spin in an awkward ballet, macabre pirouettes of sparks and swirls, filling the room with the stench of burning flesh and hair, sizzling organs, living creatures cauterized and turned to cinders within seconds. Just keep it rolling.
I am.
She liked it. She liked it.
Everybody loves a cat. Go ahead.
She's a little morbid. I'm sorry, she's a cat. At last, 3 separate columns of human-shaped ash collapse and drift to the floor, at which point they are sucked into the substrata of earth below through the cracks in the tiles by some inexplicable force, returning the room to its former silence, as though the thugs had never existed in the first place. 2. On the floor in front of the propaganda-stained backdrop, still on her knees, Pinup looks around, hyperventilating, her heart racing. The stillness that presses down on her at that moment is dizzying, the shrieks still ringing in her ears, and it takes her several minutes just to gather her wits enough to even speak. How did we... What the hell just happened? She stammered in fits and starts, looking around the flickering room. The sound of Pinup's voice brings the team back to their senses. Okay, there's an explanation, Spur finally manages to say to no one in particular. Just give me a second to figure out what the hell it is. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on the matter, Chief. The softly accented voice of Boo comes from one corner of the room where she's still shackled to her chair, trembling in her seat. Her dark eyes are wide and shiny with dread. Spur realizes that Pinup is still on her knees in front of the camera. "Pinup, talk to me. You good? You all right?" Still on her knees, still looking around the room, trying to get her bearings. She looks a little woozy, soaked in adrenaline and fear. "Yeah, fantastic. Never better," she lies, wiping a wisp of her hair from her eyes. What just happened, Spur?" "Yeah, that's a good question. Maybe let's just start with you getting us out of these shackles." Taking deep breaths, Pinup rises on wobbly knees, sniffing back the trauma, stuffing the shock back down into that dark place where she keeps her foibles, her guilt, her fears, and self-loathing. She realizes she has broken her stoic warrior pose by praying like a frightened little girl only a few minutes ago in front of her colleagues. But there's nothing she can do about that now. Raised Catholic in the barrio, East Los Angeles, she was born Maria Consuelo Caruso, and her Catholicism has clung to her for life, as permanent as a hidden tattoo. She has visible ones as well. She has a singing skull from De los Muertos on the back of her neck, and a Mayan arrow wrapped around her left wrist, ancient symbols of pride, courage, and skill. She goes over to Spur and inspects the shackles. The steel is sticky from his blood, but all the straining and yanking has not helped either. She has no key. Okay, let me find something to pick it open with, she says, focusing on the task at hand in order to steady herself. She looks across the room, full of fingernails and old screams smeared on the walls. She sees the instruments of torture lined up on that rusty steel tray, the knives and pliers and razors gleaming in the flickering, faltering light. She blinks. Out of nowhere, a memory flashes in the silent movie flicker show of her brain. 15 years ago, Los Angeles, the back room of a B-level film studio on Melrose. She takes her top off for a disgusting pig of a producer, Jason Peltz, a man who never met a pastry he didn't love or an actress he didn't want to harass. The memory has etched itself in Pinup's personal hall of shame and is just as vivid and horrible today as the day it happened, letting this repulsive warthog of a human nuzzle her breasts, unzip himself, force his head down into that sickening private place. The musky odors of his cigar and sweat and semen, that neon purple light from the studio sign behind the window shade, all of it in technicolor splendor in her memory. And the worst part is, she did it. She did what he wanted in return for a bit part in a shitty flick. As if on cue, right then, right at the peak of her self-loathing, the lights in the room go out, plunging the windowless chamber into complete and utter darkness.